Get myself right up on out of here. I feel like a disgrace, I'm not really what I appear. I go home to my girl and I make nicey nice. The fact that she don't know that I just put someone on. I don't like being here. I constantly live in fear. Could be gone at any time. When you live a life of crime, face the music and do the time. Welcome everyone to Mayhemtainment. I am your host JD, and this is episode 27, refereeing with Jaina Pryde, and that is our special guest, referee Jaina Pryde. Welcome to Mayhemtainment.
Thank you so much, JD. I'm really excited to be here. This
Excellent.
is first time I've done something on camera like this. So
oh really? Well then great. I'm glad that we've gotten the first, and I've given you along with my shout outs, I told you to reach out to Wrestling in the 313, Mike D. Shout out Mike D. Check him out on Facebook and on YouTube. Crander Q, Friends of the Squared Circle, check him out on Facebook and on YouTube. Both of them also have great shows and they're great guys. And if you're a fan of AEW, check out Honor the Elite on Facebook. It's the best place to get your AEW news as well. And Marcus Frederiksen, he does the music. He plays us in and out of everything here in Mayhem Media. So go check out his music, reverbnation.com/Marcus Frederiksen. Share out your favorite song. And our storefront, bonfire.com/store/JDE Designs. And that's with a Z at the end of it. Pick yourself up some apparel and help the podcast grow. That would be great. Jaina Pryde, you are a referee and a female referee. Those are becoming more. We're seeing a lot more of those, and we're going to get into that. So, but let me first ask, were you a wrestling fan, or is this something that you kind of came into?
No, I was absolutely a fan growing up.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
I don't know if you saw our last that we had Audrey Allen. Shout out Audrey Allen. She's a female wrestler, and 10 minutes in, I had to throw my whole outline out the window because the way she got into wrestling, she wasn't really a fan, and everything was shot to, it was gone. So I just didn't know if it was going to happen a second time.
Yeah. No, you're in good hands on this one. So I've watched what was the Saturday morning show on USA? It was like Superstars or something like that back in the day, right? So I would watch that every Saturday morning. I was really into it. And I think I was like, I'm not going to say how old I was. I was young when the Ultimate Warrior was feuding with the Undertaker. And when this was happening, and you may know where I'm going with this, there is this part where the Undertaker trapped the Ultimate Warrior in a casket. And I was sitting here like the gorilla was like playing it up like, oh my God, he can't breathe. He's going to die in there. And I'm thinking like, oh my God, my hero is dying. And I'm bawling.
Yeah.
Like I'm screaming. And my mom comes down the stairs and she's like, you're done watching that crap. So I didn't watch it for goodness 7-8 years almost until I was at a cabin with my father, and we just so happened to have this weird DirecTV thing where somehow you got all the pay-per-views for free. It must have been legal, I'm sure. But there's a Survivor Series 98, this Deadly Games tournament. And we just turned it on. My dad was kind of a passing fan of wrestling still at that time. And I just became enamored with all of it. And I've just been back in the thick of it ever since that Survivor Series.
Okay. So you got back into it about 98 and stuff. So you weren't really, and you watched WWE. You were a WWE fan.
I was, but by the time I got back into it, I had friends on both sides of the aisle. So I had friends who were hardcore, Monday Night Raw. I had friends who were hardcore Monday Nitro.
Yeah.
So it's really which ones we watched depended on whose house we were going to that week.
Yeah, I was always a WCW fan over WWE. I did turn into WWE from time to time, but I was always a WCW fan. At least right up until the Poke of Doom. When I go rewatch it on Peacock, that's where I stop my WCW days. Is the Poke of Doom, and I turn it off. I don't even watch that episode of Nitro. I think it's what is it? It's the it's not Sold Out. That's in March or January. Whatever their January pay-per-view was, I watched that when Nash beats Goldberg, and then I skip, and then that's it. That's the end. As far as I'm concerned, I skip right to the final episode of Nitro.
It's kind of like how there never was a live action Ninja Turtles 3. We just pretend that didn't happen.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. It's really not. It's really, and I'm a huge Turtles fan. Now, see, now I didn't know that we'd had a whole Turtle section here.
Oh, dude, I have right here. So we were talking Power Rangers offline before. So right up on my shelf here, Power Rangers Ninja Turtles, the Boom Studios comic series.
Oh my goodness.
Yes,
I'm a huge Turtles fan. I'm a huge Turtles fan. The 90s cartoon, the original I watched the original live action movie in the theaters. I went to go see it in the theaters, and it was actually my birthday. My birthday's in March. I don't think I saw it like an opening weekend or anything like that, but it was close to when it came out, and we had one of my birthday parties there. I'm not going to say how young I was. And my dad actually dressed up as a Ninja Turtle for me, which I actually didn't even know until years later. Someone told me that it was him dressed up. I don't have any memory of my dad being at the party, and it's because he was the turtle that was at my party, but I didn't know that at the time. So it was really cool. And that, I mean, I'm a huge Turtles fan, definitely, except for Michael Bay's Abominations. Those don't exist either.
You know what? I got to tell you, the first one, I totally agree with. The second one, I felt like was a fun popcorn movie apology for the first one.
Well, at least if Michael Bay apologized, that's good, because I'll tell you, I didn't watch either of the movies. I just couldn't. And after what he did with the Transformers, I just couldn't stomach what he might do to my Ninja Turtles.
I'll tell you what, I would give the second one a shot. It's worth it, and for me, because it had Stephen Amell as Casey Jones, and I'm just a fan of anything Stephen Amell. He's yummy.
Okay, well, I can't. I'm definitely not on your your side of that one, but that's good. So did you So you got back into wrestling at 98. So I guess that would be like your favorite part of wrestling then, when you get back into it in 98. Or if you had to pick like a 10-year span, like an era of wrestling, do you have like a favorite?
The feeling that I got when watching like the late 1900s, early aughts, late Attitude Era, early Ruthless Aggression era, that, the feeling that I got watching it, it's hard to top. But it's kind of like, you ever go back and watch GoBots again? It sucks as an adult. You ever try and go back and watch some of that Attitude Era stuff? It's rough.
Yes, and
especially as a woman.
Yeah, and like I said, I'm not really I was always a WCW fan, and even now I'm an AEW fan over WWE.
Same.
I think it's a better product. Oh, great, that's good news.
I actually was at a SmackDown about a year ago, and I was wearing my AEW shirt, and like you could tell, like because we were right in the front row, and one of the producers was like eyeballing me. He's like, "Yeah, you're not going to be able to do anything," and so I took it off. And then as everybody's getting up to go, I'm looking at my friends that I'm with and everything, and I go, "Wow, that was a great sports entertainment show. Hey, where's my pro wrestling hoodie? I'm going to put on my pro wrestling hoodie from that pro wrestling show I like. But this was good sports entertainment."
Yeah, that's always been the craziest thing. And now I guess I just saw a headline or something. Vince McMahon's out again.
God, we're going to talk about that, or do we want to not touch that one?
How do we? No, we should just move on. But something I don't have in it, since you're more of an AEW fan than a WWE fan, I don't have this in the outline. But real quick, are you a CM Punk fan? Yes or no?
No.
All right, good. Now we can be friends.
Not in 2024.
Yeah, I mean, I've watched some of his old stuff. I don't get it. But some people are fans, and I don't have a problem with people being fans of his. I get it. He's over with the crowd. He gets a huge pop every time he comes out. Me personally, I don't get it. So I was just wondering, with a lot of CM Punk stuff in the news again now that he's back in the WWE. So
no, I mean, I think that, like a lot of people have said in the background, he's like too much. He's more drama than it's worth.
That's what I think.
Locker rooms are a fragile ecosystem sometimes, and I can't imagine when you get to that level that it's got to be exponentially higher when it gets to that. And
and
if it was me, I wouldn't want somebody who has the potential to rub half my locker room the wrong way. But Tony Khan, he dealt with it. He split off a second show so he.
I know he created a show. I know I couldn't. Such a mistake by Tony Khan. Huge mistake. I love Collision. I love that they have 3 shows, but huge mistake to even do that you don't do that for your talent. Haven't people learned? Am I the only one that remembers what the Hulk Hogan era, especially the late Hulk Hogan era in WCW? You don't give the talent that kind of power over their own characters and who they want to work with. If you're in the company, if you're a wrestler, you're going to work. If it's your time to put someone over, it's your time to put someone over. That's my opinion.
Agreed.
I've never been a professional wrestler, just for the record, just so everybody knows that. Nor have I ever been inside the business in any way. Just full disclosure. So how did you get into refereeing? Why refereeing?
So I actually trained to be a wrestler back when I was like 17, 18. And I got to a point where I was working a couple shows, and then I just kind of fell out of it. College, starting a family, all of these things, starting my career off, that took precedent. And then I reached all that, right? So I'm 40 now, and I wanted to say, well, hey, I want to do something for myself. I played roller derby, and that was nice for a while. What else can I do? And so I thought, well, hey, I'm going to get back into wrestling in some capacity. I didn't want to be a wrestler anymore because I'm kind of allergic to bumping. I break out in headaches. It's the weirdest thing.
Yeah. It's taking bumps, I'd imagine, is hard. I mean, I'm impressed with, Sting still doing it and what he's done in AEW. I mean, when he was jumping off the building and going through multiple tables, I'm screaming. I'm like, what are you doing? Do you know how old you are? What are you doing?
I saw him like actually just hurting himself and then not being able to wrestle that match at Revolution.
Yeah, I mean he's crazy sometimes. I can't believe he's still getting it done. So yeah, I understand that. You don't want to take the bumps, especially if you didn't start. I mean, if you're starting out your wrestling career at 40, that would be different than, like you said, like you're going to go into refereeing. But I think that's pretty cool that you decided to go into refereeing.
Yeah, and I
do want to talk about your roller derby time, but you gave us an excellent segue into the refereeing thing there. So do you have a favorite wrestler or referee from when you used to watch it?
From when I used to watch it.
Yeah, like someone who inspired you maybe, or someone that stood out to you.
When we can talk about like Jessica Carr all day. A lot of these folks who are out there doing it great, but Aubrey Edwards was really like the first one that I saw, and I was like, wait a minute, I could be a badass ref, because you see her in the ring and she's one of those like, I'm not going to put up with your crap.
I love Aubrey Edwards. I'm in love with Aubrey Edwards. Aubrey Edwards, if you're watching right now, reach out to Mayhem. We want to have you on the show. We want to make a show and name it the Aubrey Edwards Show. Okay. So yeah, I'm a huge fan of Aubrey Edwards. I think she's a great referee.
Yeah.
A lot of people, I've heard people complain about her that she sometimes overreacts to things, and I've also heard her. Someone said a recent guest said that she bounces herself a little bit, like when there's a big impact, she kind of bounces herself in the ring to try and sell the impact of it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm guilty of doing that myself. I think there's times where, if you have a couple cruiserweights in there and there's just a couple 150-pound bodies bouncing around, and especially for me, like I'm a large mammal. It doesn't make sense for me to like sell the impact of that in some way. But if I got 2 big guys working a match and one of them goes up for a choke slam or a power bomb or something, bet your butt I'm going to sell that, because these are these 2 behemoths that are just, meat slapping down, shaking the earth.
Yeah. And I mean, even after I was told that and I watched some of Aubrey Edwards' work, I mean, she does bounce herself a little bit. But I don't think I like the way she reacts to things. She's a referee, but she's almost a fan watching it unfold with us. Right. So when someone does one of those crazy moves and So I don't think it's her bouncing so much as her just like reacting in astonishment. What did I just watch? Like, I think she does a really good job at selling that too.
Yeah, and that's definitely something I take a lot of inspiration from. If you check out my fan page on Facebook, it's my banner image, and I apologize, I don't remember who took it off the top of my head, but the image credit is there. But there's a great picture of somebody doing a swanton off the top rope, and I was in the background like, no, no, and it's caught just the right moment, and I'm thinking, oh my gosh. But it's just that reaction, and if a referee, shouldn't be a part of the story, but kind of like you were saying, we're also fans. So if we're just sitting there flat and something amazing happens and the referee's like, "Yep, okay, 1, 2," why as a fan would I want to get excited over something if the person who's closest to the action is just like, whatever.
Yeah. And I went and looked it up for you. I want to make sure you get your shout out. So in Indulging Disorderly, you have watermarked on the photo, and then All Out Pro Wrestling.
Yes, yeah, that was an APW show that I worked. Shout out to them, coming back there on February 17th in Owen, Wisconsin.
Nice. Excellent. So look for that if you're in Owen, Wisconsin. Yeah, actually, let's talk about the referee's role in the ring then. What do you see? I mean, you just kind of said what the referee's role was in the ring a little bit there, but I've seen referees like hold tables or steady ladders. I've also seen a referee get involved and actually physically do something to a wrestler to prevent them from falling and seriously injuring themselves. Mm-hmm. So what is your thoughts on you're a referee? What's your role inside the ring? Let's talk about inside the ring first. What's your role inside the ring during a match?
Yeah, so talking about the overall role, have you ever played like online like MMORPGs like World of Warcraft or something?
Yeah, I play Star Trek Online.
Okay, yeah, so you know that you got your roles, right? And in the traditional triad sense, you got your tank, your DPS, and your healer. And I like to think that the wrestlers are the tank and the DPS. So if you're part of a raid or something, and you have this big boss that you're taking down, everybody's gonna be like, "Oh wow, you tanked that so well," or "Wow, look at those crazy DPS numbers." Blah blah blah. Nobody's ever like, "Wow, that healer did so good."
Yeah.
But if the raid team wipes and they all die, then you're blaming the healer. Refereeing's the same thing. Like, our job is to support the match, to make sure everybody's safe, to make sure everybody has what they need to kind of be that garnish that's just selling it for everybody else in the background. But if we screw up, you're going to notice it. Other people put it like pizza.
That's a great analogy with the tank healer and DPS. We are definitely going to have you on more episodes, because if you're a gamer too, we got Power Rangers and Turtles, and now we got a gaming episode coming, so we're gonna have Jaina Pryde on as much as her schedule will allow, so that we can cover some of this stuff. That's for sure. Then that's great. So like if you were in the ring and you saw someone about to take a fall or something, you would get involved and prevent that, wouldn't you?
100%. Yeah, and it's one of those things that it's reactionary. If I have this instinctive reaction and I see, oh my gosh, this person's going to land and potentially really screw themselves up, like, yeah, I'm going to try and get in there in some way. But it's got to be really obvious that something's going really sideways right now.
Yeah. Now what about with the tables and stuff? Because I mean, like for example, the WWE rings, I think they bounce a little bit more than WCW's ever did, and even AEW's. Though AEW's bounce has quite a bit of bounce sometimes too. But WWE's really had some bounce to it, and especially when they were doing like top rope stuff with a table behind them, and sometimes just them jostling on the turnbuckle would bounce the table
right
out of the way, or if you have other action in the ring. So I've always thought I've seen so many bad bumps where people hit their heads or just clip the table, and could risk serious injury. When if the referee would have just moved it half an inch, just slid it over a little bit and held it there so it didn't bounce away, the spot would have gone off fine. So I'm personally I don't think referees should break character, should come out of their role as referee, but I also don't have a problem by them doing something that keeps the wrestlers more safe, such as setting the ladder when they're climbing up, or holding the table when there's going to be a spot that they're not looking at, where it's a backward spot and they don't see it. I don't have a problem with any of that because I want the wrestlers to be safe. I don't want them to be injured or get seriously injured.
Right. And I couldn't agree more with that. I'm one of those referees great example. I had the honor of sitting under Earl Hebner's learning tree for a while. And he was talking about this time, and you might remember what I'm talking about. But in AEW, there was like this part where like all of these refs are holding this ladder for somebody to climb up because the ladder was in poor shape. Like they shouldn't have been climbing the ladder. But guess what? There's like half a dozen other ladders around the ring. So you have like 4 refs that are holding this ladder for the person to get up and get it. It was probably like, the casino ladder match or something like that.
Oh yeah, I think, and it was only one side of the ladder, the whole thing. That's why they needed 4 of them to hold the ladder, because it was just one side of it, I think.
Yeah, and I get so going to your point of, how do you do that to stay safe? Well, in their case, they all said, okay, well, we're just going to hold the ladder because everybody knows it's a show and we just want this person to be safe. The problem with that is that it just takes you out of it, though, and that you're reminded in that moment, oh, it's just a show, and it's going to take away from the victory that person is about to have. It's going to deflate that crowd. So one thing that Earl shared is that it's possible to do that sort of thing without making it so obvious.
Yeah.
So really, it's just about like positioning your body in a way so that you're holding yourself onto it. In the case of the ladder or a table, you basically just walk right up to it and then very casually kind of wrap your leg or entwine your leg into it and lean your weight onto it. So then that way it's staying in place so long as you stay there, but it's not showing the crowd, hey, I'm helping this person. I catch some heat sometimes because like a great example, Tommy Trainwreck, love you, buddy. In real life, in the ring, you're kind of a jerk. But I was working a match for him. He's the current UPW wrestling heavyweight champion, and it was a title match at our winter warfare show a couple weeks ago. And he's like, "Help me set up the table." No. Help me set up the table. No. So I'm not going to help you set up the table, but as you have that table set up and I see that you weren't able to swing that leg out all the way, I'm going to get over there and I'm going to casually swing that leg out of the way and I'm going to hold that table so that it doesn't bounce.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So that's good. So Earl Hebner teaches referees how to protect the wrestlers, but do it, at least attempt to do it within the confines of the show. So it's not so obvious. So you're not pulling the people out of the show.
Right.
That's not a bad idea. I like that. That's good. Yeah. And I'm always for the, and I'm like I said, when you first said about pulling people out of the show, I kind of was like, yeah, I guess. And you're right. Probably the majority of the people would take it that way. But I mean, to me, I don't know. At this point, at my age, I can enjoy the show of wrestling and know that it's a show, but still enjoy the story that they're telling. I can still, I know Malachi Black isn't really a sadistic, creepy weirdo, but I want to watch that. That's what I'm hooked on. That's what I want to see. So, I'm willing to buy the show and get into it. I think with the death of kayfabe, what you have to do that. If you're a wrestling fan, you have to be willing to say, okay, this is a show, but I want to get into it and I want to enjoy it and I can still get entertainment out of it.
Yeah, absolutely. You don't want to your point, nobody, well, I shouldn't say nobody. Unfortunately, there's some weird people out there. Most people don't want to see another human being get hurt.
Yeah, most people.
Right. And I got to think it's the same thing with most wrestling crowds. The interesting thing about that, though, is it's rare that you have this dichotomy of the person who's trying to keep the people safe don't want you to keep them safe. Because, you think about this, and if a referee is to step in sometimes, not only does she have to be fully aware of what's going on and making sure that she's stepping in at the right time, because if she doesn't, those guys are going to be hot at you. They're going to be like, you screwed up. We had this under control. You count.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah.
I've never had to deal with that, but, I've heard, these guys say, yeah, you gotta be careful what you're doing and trust your guys also. The wrestlers have to trust the ref. The ref has to trust the wrestlers. We're the third dance partner in there.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, that's a great way of looking at it too. Yeah. And I never thought about the ref. I never even considered the wrestlers having a problem with the ref stepping in to keep them safe, because maybe they are safe and you stepped in at the wrong time. Yeah, that's a great point. That's definitely a great point. All right, let's move out of wrestling then. Let's move outside of the squared circle, and get to know you a little bit.
Sure.
You play the ukulele, I found out.
Yes, I like to say I play the ukulele mediocrely at best.
Well, I saw your performance. It wasn't bad. It was all right. It was good.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. It's not something that I like. I'm a chord strummer, so like I'm the type of person that like I'd like to sit around a campfire and we'll sing songs together that everybody knows. I like performing and putting that out there, and whether or not it's any good or not, it makes me feel glad to put that positivity out into the world.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's a big part of why I like to play uke and perform online. Also, it's something that I really started to enjoy during lockdown. Stuck inside, and I've obviously got that performer bug in me, as I suppose you do too. We don't do entertainment because we don't want people to be like, you don't want to tell people, look at me, in some way, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And it was the same thing with uke. I picked it up quite on a whim. I was walking past a store that had ukuleles in the window, and I told my friends, hang on one second. 5 minutes, $150 later, I had a uke.
I love that you call it a uke. Is that like is that ukulele terms? Or, only people inside the community get to learn that term, that you uke.
Yeah, I think most people don't say it, but then you hear it and you're like, oh, that's way better.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, I never heard of that you play the uke. As soon as you said that, I was like, okay, we're gonna address that. It's like a gang term or something. If you don't ukulele, everybody, if you don't play the ukulele, you're not allowed to use that term. All right, just so we're all clear on it.
We're the uke.
All right, so
Mahalo.
let's talk a little Power Rangers.
Yeah.
Because we commented on the Power Rangers on the Power Rangers post. So do you have a favorite era of Power Rangers? I have a feeling it's probably going to be the same as mine, maybe.
I mean, the era that I have the most fondest memory of is, the first season of Mighty Morphin.
The original series, yeah.
Before they brought in Rocky and Aisha and...
No, I see, let's talk about that. That was the shakeup. That's the big shakeup in Power Rangers, was when they replaced half the cast, the wrong half. And
well, in all fairness, that half left because they weren't getting paid, and the other half was fine with not getting paid.
Yeah, I understand that too. But I mean, I liked the Red and the Black Ranger, and I liked Trini as the Yellow Ranger. I liked that combination. I think I did not like when they did the shakeup. I preferred the original, not the new version of the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. So I always preferred Jason was always my favorite character. Even when Tommy came, I actually didn't like Tommy at first, because I'm like, no, because I saw what was happening in the show, how he was kind of becoming the new star. He was becoming new front man, and I was like, no. Jason's been here since the beginning. He's the leader of the Power Rangers. You just sit yourself back down. So, I mean, eventually I became a Tommy fan and Green Ranger and then the White Ranger, but I was real upset when they got rid of Jason and Zach. I like those guys, and Trinity. Trinity. I like those guys. I did not want to see them go.
They're all still off at a peace conference somewhere.
Yeah. Like that makes sense. So at least they got to play in other versions of it. See, and now the original era is really the only era that I ever watched of Power Rangers. I haven't seen much of the other different eras.
Yeah, so I mean, Tommy, he stuck around for multiple seasons.
Yeah, and I found out
teams.
I found out Jason did too. He played in at least like 2 other series or something.
Billy as well.
Yeah.
Billy was always my favorite because I was like that nerd growing up, and I was always into like the computers and the techie stuff, and he's always building out this stuff. So yeah, Billy was my guy. And then later to find out that like, oh, he was bullied on the show because he was gay, and like as a queer woman, as a pansexual woman, that just makes me like even happier to have that guy as my guy. I have a prop power morpher over there, and it's always got the blue coin in it.
Nice. Yeah, I didn't find out until that he was gay or anything until like later on. We were talking about Billy the Blue Ranger. He had the largest evolution, or like the biggest the change. He changed the most his character. I mean, from the first couple episodes where he wouldn't even fight any of the putties, the foot soldiers, unless he was in the suit. To, I mean, by the last season, he was out there, doing all kinds of stuff and beating everybody up in or out of the suit. So I thought Billy's evolution, his character evolution, was the largest out of anybody in the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers.
Oh, 100%. I have to assume you've seen Once and Always.
No, not yet. I haven't gotten to see the new stuff yet. I haven't gotten a chance to see it. I don't have Netflix at the moment.
Okay. I might have to get you a perplexing way to watch it. If you know, you know. But yeah, it's one of those things where, especially, you see Billy in that, and you compare Billy Cranston in the Once and Always 30 years later to Billy Cranston in those first couple episodes, like you were talking about, and you really see that whole character arc and development, like you're talking about. It's cool.
Yeah, he was always the one who had the biggest. I think he wasn't my favorite character, but he was always the one I was most interested in seeing him change and seeing him grow. I wanted to see what was next for Billy. What is the next change? He started fighting. What was next? Then he started not being so shy, and then, I mean, it was really great to see the evolution of his character and him become this shy little kid to a guy out there who's kicking putties and Zordon's ass all over the place just with the rest of them.
The way that you phrased that made me think of something. So as a kid, I was really bullied a lot, and I was also that nerdy kid. And thinking about that and how you wanted to see Billy continue to grow out of that and kind of come into his own and everything. As a young person, that's probably a big reason why I, kind of hoisted my flag to Billy, because it was almost inspiring to be like, oh, wow, that's possible. I never put those dots together until we were just talking about it, but that's probably a big part of it.
Well, that's great. And I mean, being in a wheelchair, I obviously faced my fair share of bullying, but I was never one to just, my dad always taught me, he said, listen, just stand up to a bully. He's like, 9 times out of 10, they're going to be the one that backs down. He said, but be ready for that number 10.
Yeah.
He said, if you're going to stand up for yourself, be prepared to get hit, because there's going to be the 10th guy who's going to swing. So be ready. So, he always taught me to just stand up to the bullies, and then chances are they'd back down.
Yeah.
So, but that's why I think I wanted to see Billy come out of that shy shell. That's why I wanted to see him evolve and become, more than that. We're having a great talk here. I hope anybody watching, leave us a comment. We're going to have Jaina Pryde on again. So we'll definitely, we're going to try and have her on a live episode next time. So make sure you leave a comment and we'll include it. So we talked about switching out the cast. I didn't really care for it. Do you have a favorite character, whether it's the before or after the switch up, or before and after the switch up?
I did I like Jason. I like Billy. Overall, how can you not just love Bulk and Skull, though?
No, really, no. I didn't. I really didn't. I really didn't.
Look, I think that's one of those things where at the time I hated them because they reminded me of my bullies. But looking back on it, just the sheer absurdity of some of the things. Like, I was watching a episode the other day, and they're like, oh yeah, we got a good look at or this person had a good look at the Power Rangers, and they hired this French sketch artist.
It was good comedic relief in the show. It was, them always trying to find who the Power Rangers were while talking to the Power Rangers. It was always a cool little joke. And they always got they were great bullies. They were great actors. The people, the 2 guys who played them, they played them really well, because they played great bullies, but then completely oblivious to everything. And then it always come back around and haunt them. So I always appreciated that kind of thing too. Yeah, that was good too.
So question, and I thought of this when you were talking about, hey, Jason was the leader. Have you read any of the Boom Studios Power Rangers comics?
No, I've never gotten into the comics.
Okay, so I never really got too into the comics. I mean, I saw, Ninja Turtles and Power Rangers on the same cover, and I had to buy that.
Yeah, if I saw that, I probably would have bought it too. I did not know something like that existed.
Yeah, they actually had the action figures that matched also in the comic shop that I was in. This was in Chicago 2 years ago when I found it. But the reason I bring that up is there's actually a Mighty Morphin Power Rangers audio drama podcast And that's what it's called, Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, the audio drama. You can find it on, any podcast platform. And it's really good.
Wow.
And it follows the original Rangers. And, when Tommy does come in eventually, there's this whole like butting of heads between Jason and Tommy. And it's not meant for kids. It's meant for adults. It's
cool.
really good. I highly recommend checking it out to anybody who's a fan of the Mighty Morphin and has grown up as we have.
Yeah, I might check that out because I always didn't like how Jason was kind of like, when they announced the White Ranger as the new leader of the Power Rangers and Jason just kind of accepted. I was like, wait, what?
Yeah.
No, what are you doing to me? I like Tommy. Tommy's a great character. He's not the leader.
Yeah, it's really good. And they go for like 3 seasons, I think.
Wow. Okay, good. I will definitely check that out. And the Green Ranger was I liked the Green Ranger. Like, I liked that he had the shield. He had a different version of the uniform, and then he had the shield over his chest. I liked the dagger. That was the flute where that's how he controlled the Dragon Lord. Yeah. Yeah, I love that. I did like Tommy as a character, and I love the Green Ranger. I just didn't care. I didn't like the White Ranger, and I didn't like how he became the leader of the Power Rangers. I mean, now all of a sudden he had a sword that talked. That was a sentient sword that talked. It was weird because Zordon and Alpha even said that they created this White Ranger. They made a new Ranger. This wasn't an existing power coin or something that existed. They created it. That's how it unfolded in the show. Zordon and Alpha created a brand new Power Ranger. They created a sentient sword while they were at it.
Yeah.
Well, that doesn't make any sense to me. So, that was one of the big things, was his sword that all of a sudden talked. I didn't get the sword that talked, but I didn't have, other than that, I think that was my biggest problem with the White Ranger. And it being a Tiger Zord, I didn't really get the Tiger Zord because that was still, they debuted that, I think, when they were still using the dinosaurs.
Yeah, yeah.
So I didn't really get the Tiger Zord when they were like, that's not a dinosaur. There's no Tiger Zord.
Well, if it makes you feel any better, Lord Draken, that Tommy becomes in an alternate universe in the comics, and he's like super evil and like takes over the entire morphin grid and everything. He has Saba, the sentient sword, but he cuts the head off.
Oh my!
Spoilers, but it's super old at this point. So
wow, that's definitely a hardcore Tommy.
Yeah.
What do you think about the original Power Rangers movie? Of course, we got it after the shakeup, so we didn't get we didn't get Jason and Zach and Trini. But what are your thoughts on the movie? The first one, the original.
Yeah, no, it's fun. It's very much of its time.
Ivan Ooze.
Yeah, it's one of those things where you kind of look at it like, yeah, it's kind of the same people, but it's just the same people in a different universe almost, because they told the same story then the next season on the Power Rangers about finding the the ninja coins and the ninja zords and all of that.
I know. Stuff. I thought, yeah, it was like the movie was like a success. Like they weren't sure if they wanted to do that or not, and then they ended up getting the things anyway. But also while doing that, they kind of took the movie out of the universe.
Mm-hmm.
They had to re-go get the coins again. So
I'm pretty sure they've said like the movie is non-canon.
Yeah. I kind of like the movie. I think the effects are, I think, really awesome in the movie. I think they really did a great job with the Zords and stuff, especially the new ones. I liked how they moved. I liked how they did stuff. I didn't really care for the new Zords when they switched in the TV show. Mm-hmm. I didn't really like that, but in the movie, I did like it. I just because I think they had more money to spend on the effects. I think the effects in the movie looked much better.
Yeah, the unicorn and what was it? Unicorn and Pegasus Zords, whatever they were, like the yellow and blue ones when they switched over, like they were just. I honestly
can't remember the yellow. That's the one. Those are the ones I can't. I remember the red one becomes like a dragon, like a flying dragon. Mm-hmm. And I know the Black Ranger gets a frog, and Kimberly gets another flying one instead of the pterodactyl. I think she gets like the phoenix or something like that.
I think she gets a crane at that one. I remember
the blue and yellow ones. I couldn't remember them for the life of me.
Yeah, and they're honestly just like little blocks. Like they kind of just look like my pill container, and then they just got a head that goes woo 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 woo. It's so stupid. It's so bad. Super Sentai. Good job, Japan.
Yeah, I like the original Rangers the best. That's definitely where I was.
Same, yeah.
So other than the original series, did you like any of the other ones, or did you ever watch any of the other ones? I'm not going to be able to assist you too much on that because I did not. I'd like to get into some of the other ones. I want to get my Netflix back so I can start, because I think Netflix has got the whole collection right now with the
they got a lot of them
coming out.
There's a few that they don't have. A lot of the like weirder ones, like there's a pirate season.
Well, I'll avoid those anyway. So
yeah.
I mean, listen, I'm a Power Rangers fan, but I mean, I didn't even like when they switched the characters up. So to get me into a new series, I need to be open and willing to do that. So anything that's going to be outside, like weird, overly weird, I probably won't be able to get into.
I mean, isn't it all kind of overly weird though at the end of the day? But I agree. Like you get to like RPM is just like, I don't know what this is. And
yeah, I mean, and like the turbo when they start getting in cars and stuff.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, what appealed to me with the Rangers was that they had these big dinosaur Zords. That was kind of the whole appeal to me initially. So when they started doing spin-offs and they started having police cars and fire trucks, and I'm
oh
like,
God,
this is not
SPD, I forgot about that.
I'm like, this is not Paw Patrol. What are we doing here? So I think some of the series I'm not going to be able to get into, but I wanted to get into a few of them. I'm hoping I'm going to try the first ones, like the ones that are Tommy's in and the ones that are Jason's in, and try and see if I can hope that the story of their characters is like an evolution and I can continue to watch Jason and Tommy. Like, that's what I want to see. I think that's what'll keep me into it more than anything else.
I think you're going to be disappointed.
Oh man, don't tell me that.
From what I've seen, like, so here's a good way that I've found to kind of consume some of the older Power Rangers stuff is, a lot of the things here, like Pluto TV, Roku TV, things like that, those free streaming, TV solutions. Roku TV has a Power Rangers channel where it's literally just streaming episodes of Power Rangers for free all day, every day, 24/7. So it's a lot of Mighty Morphin, but there's a fair amount of older stuff in there too. So anytime like I'm playing a game or something, I'll just throw it up on my phone or my tablet and be like, oh yeah, I got my second screen here with Power Rangers.
Yeah, I do that too. Now you're saying, so what, like the characters, the actors that play Jason and Tommy and stuff, do they play different characters in the other
Oh no, they're still Jason and Tommy, but just from what I've seen, it's the character development doesn't get much deeper.
I gotcha. Okay.
Like they get these other things, but it's very like superficial.
Yeah, as long as they're the same characters, then I'll give it a shot. If they play different characters, you're about to turn me off to the whole thing. If you're going to say, "Oh no, these guys they play different characters now," and I was going to be like, "Yeah, that's not going to happen probably then."
No.
All right, so let's save. I want to save the turtles, more turtle talk for another episode. But what about other sports? Do you like any other sports other than wrestling?
No.
Okay. What about the Olympics? Are you a fan of the Olympics?
God, no.
Okay.
I'm kind of like vehemently against the Olympics.
Oh, okay. Well, then let's just move on from that.
But like, you ever watch Community?
I like the Olympics. We usually like Mayhem Media. We usually do Olympics coverage every time it's on. So yeah, Community. No, I don't think I've ever seen Community.
One of the characters on there, she gets really impassioned about seemingly very innocent things. That's kind of how I am. I get really impassioned about things that most people are just like, but isn't it kind of good? Yeah, but let me tell you something.
Yeah.
Like Debbie Downer, like, wow, what a wonderful Thanksgiving dinner. Did you know that 17 people die every Thanksgiving from turkey bones? Wah, wah. Like, I've had people do sad trombone around me. So.
All right. What about other TV and movies? Do you watch any other TV or movies other than wrestling?
I am an unapologetic comic book fan. I love like anything comic book related. Admittedly, even I'm starting to feel the superhero fatigue that we're getting with all the Marvel shows and movies and everything. Just got done watching Echo.
Yeah, I'm way behind on some of my superhero stuff. I'm also a big superhero fan, and I am behind on some of my superhero stuff. And I think you're right. I think they're coming out with so much, and I get it, and it's awesome. Like for someone who liked the comics and liked the cartoons and all that stuff, I love the lore that they created. And I love that they're expanding now with the TV series. And I love that they acquired the Netflix series, and now they're going to include them into the cinematic universe. And they're going to bring the X-Men in. So it's all good things. It's just they're doing so many different things. It's like trying to follow all the comics when we were kids. You know what I mean? You had to follow the Fantastic Four to understand what was happening in the X-Men, to understand what was happening in the Avengers, to understand what was happening with X-Force. So like, I mean, and I want an interconnected universe, But do I have to watch everything before I can watch the next thing? I think they need to give us maybe a few just independent things that are just standalone things. I think that would help them a little bit more.
Totally agreed. And I think that's what they're trying to do with some of the spotlight stuff that they're doing. Like Echo was that. Problem I think they're having is they're deviating too much from some of the things that made the characters special in the comics. And Echo is a great example of that. I'm not going to give spoilers because I know it's fairly recent and a lot of people haven't seen it yet. But they take her powers and totally ignore the comic version and just do something else with it.
Yeah,
And
didn't they learn?
She doesn't fit into that role with the powers that they gave her.
Yeah. See, I don't like that either. I mean, at this point, if you need a new superhero, if you want to introduce someone new, then give us a new superhero. It's time. If you know what I mean. At this point, it's really time for some new superheroes anyway. You know, I don't have a problem with the classics. I love the classics, but isn't it time for a new superhero?
Well, and I think they introduced a MCU only superhero in the most recent season of What If, who's supposed to be like continuing to grow through everything.
Well, and they did with I'm sorry, the new Doctor Strange, the multiverse movie, that the girl who can do the portals and stuff to the different multiverses. I don't think she's an existing
a comic
character.
Yep. Yep, she was part of the Young Avengers, America Chavez.
Okay. Someone else told me that that was a new character, that they had just developed that character.
No, she was she's been around since I want to say the mid-aughts.
Okay. All right. Well, that's at least newer than, like, you know, Captain America and Iron Man and the X-Men and Wolverine and stuff. So at least it's a little bit newer.
But yeah, and I mean, you can make new characters and do awesome things with them. Look at Miles Morales. Miles Morales as Spider-Man is amazing. Is he better than Peter Parker? No. Is Peter Parker better than Miles? No, they're two different people, and I can like both of them.
see, that's the other thing, and I think what people have a problem with, and you need to be, like, for me, like Miles Morales as Spider-Man. He's not a replacing Spider-Man. He's not replacing Peter Parker. He's a new Spider-Man. Mm-hmm. He's his own Spider-Man. And I think that's what they're going to get. I think that's what they need to lean into also a little bit, because as some of these actors start being done with the cinematic universe, you're still going to want to be able to bring these characters back or have them, you know, evolve, maybe have a new version of them or something, which they're going to be able to do because of the multiverse. But I think, you know, like what they try to do with Thor. I don't like what they did with Thor and Natalie Portman and Thor: Love and Thunder, but yeah, I think they need to try to do something similar to that, just not with her, because I'm not a Natalie Portman fan.
So if I can veer a little bit here, I think the MCU and superhero movies in general might be seeing a little bit of a decline. But you mentioned something earlier that I want to ask you about. You said you play Star Trek Online, and I think we're seeing Star Trek on the incline right now. So yeah, favorite series of Star Trek?
Oh, Next Generation.
Yeah.
Hands down. No question. Captain Picard's favorite captain. Hands down.
Nice.
There's nobody better. I got a buddy who argues with me about Voyager, and Voyager's a great show. I mean, the whole getting stranded in the Delta Quadrant, that's a whole great thing. You know, I love that series. But I'm not a Janeway fan. Janeway's a bad captain, in my opinion. So I'm a Picard fan all the way, definitely.
Nice. Yeah, I grew up on TNGs and love it. So I am a huge fan of all of the new stuff that they're producing right now.
Yeah, I am too. Picard is a little, there's aspects of Picard that I find a little bit weird. But I like the new stuff that's coming out. And at first, what is it? The new series.
Strange New Worlds?
No, the one that was before that. Discovery.
Discovery.
I think that series is better now that we're a couple of seasons in. But they the first season and then the second season and then the third season are a little bit, there's so many left turns. There's so many hard turns. I mean, I liked the original captain in Discovery. And I like that what's her name was her first officer. I think they should have played on that. I think that should have been a couple of seasons. We should have got them, not just one. So that's my only problem with Discovery. I like Discovery. It's just there's a lot of left turns and right turns. Every season's something new. They take this character and now she's on a different ship and now she's doing this and now they're traveling back in time and now they're back. And there's too much of that. I think they try to do too much in Discovery.
Yeah, I think one of the biggest complaints about Discovery is that, one of the biggest characters in Star Trek has always been the ship. And there really wasn't that in Discovery. Like, yeah, there was the Discovery, but
yeah, now we're like I said, different crews. Now she's on a different ship. Now it kind of became more about her than Discovery, which is fine. But then you needed to change the name of the series to something else, and then revamp Discovery so that you're following the Discovery ship.
Star Trek, Michael Burnham.
Yeah. I think that's not a bad idea either, though. That's what I'm saying. I think that, like you said, the ship has been a character, or at least like a staple to what fans enjoy about the show. Ship's capabilities and what the ship is capable of does play a role in whether or not I think fans like it. I also think that if you took a character and followed her career and jumped around to a couple of different ships, I think people would follow that too. But that's not how Discovery was advertised to us. That's not how it was given to us initially. So I think that's why people are resistant to that idea is because it's called Discovery. So why are we on different ships? Why is Discovery traveling through time and now it's back? It's a lot of weird stuff happening there. Is why my problem with that. But I'll rewatch Next Generation. I mean, I love the Next Generation, Voyager, and DS9. I'll rewatch those and the movies associated with them, all the time. So, I mean, I would have loved to have seen a Voyager movie. I would have loved for Voyager to end, the series to end, but not them get home and then do a movie to get them the rest of the way home. I think that's the way that should have ended.
Yeah, that would have been really good. Instead, we just had a fleeting Admiral Janeway in, what was it?
It was the last movie. Nemesis.
Nemesis, yeah.
Was it Nemesis? Yeah, Nemesis. Yeah, where it's the Romulans try and clone him. Picard.
Yeah. I gotta say, Lower Decks is better than it has any right to be, though.
A lot of people have told me good things about Lower Decks, but see, for me, Star Trek's never been comedic. I don't know that I can watch the comedic versions, these cartoons, these comedic versions of the show, and then go back and watch the drama. My problem is I'm going to be laughing at the drama stuff because I've watched the comedic stuff.
Sure.
At the jokes. And I don't know. And that's just me personally. I have a problem. I'm going to have a problem separating the jokes that they make when I'm watching one of the drama series. So I don't want to do that because I enjoy Star Trek as storytelling, as drama. I'm captivated by it. So I don't want to start laughing at inappropriate times.
That's fair enough. That's how I live my life, is just laughing at inappropriate times. So,
but see, well, I mean, I think everybody does at this point, but that's why I like to keep Star Trek not that way.
I see. Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah. Well, that's all I have for us on this episode. Like I said, I definitely would love to have you back. There's lots of other things that I'd like to discuss. The Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles alone, I'm sure, would be another episode. So we definitely need to do more episodes. And I want to talk more with you about some wrestling. Maybe the next one we can talk about some of your experiences in the ring and what some of the good and the bad that you've experienced in the ring in the next episode.
That'd be awesome.
All right, great. So then there we go. We're going to have her back again. So make sure you look for that. And we're going to make her next appearance live so you can do some fan interaction with her as well and ask her some direct questions. So make sure you check her out. She's on Facebook. Are you on YouTube? Are you anywhere else other than Facebook?
If you go to jainapryde.com, that will bring you to everything. It's
okay. I didn't even
all
know
of my links.
I didn't even know that. So jainapryde.com, and that's why I didn't have any tickers. I dropped the ball on this one. Her next appearance, we'll have tickers and visuals and everything else so that we can put her over and everybody knows where to get it. So jainapryde.com, that's the central where you can find all her social media. Go follow her and tell her Mayhem Media sent you and that you liked her appearance on the show and you want her to come back.
Heck yeah. They don't got to tell me that. I want to come back no matter what.
All right, great. Excellent. Marcus Frederiksen, he's going to play us out. Check him out, reverbnation.com/Marcus Frederiksen. Share out your favorite song. And we got other series. We're going to be having other series come back this year. We'll be back with our After the Dragon series. Look for that with season 2 of House of the Dragon coming back. We'll be doing our season 2 After the Dragon series. And we're going to hope to be adding some new series. And we'll have our Mandalorian series hopefully coming back for the next season as well. Are you a fan of The Mandalorian?
I am a fan of The Mandalorian.
So am I. You should check out our series. We cover the first 2 episodes. We cover the first 2 seasons, and then we start covering the current season 3 in episode 3. So Make sure you check that out. My cousin, which is also our graphic artist, Robbie H. Shout out Robbie H. He's the one that wanted to do that series, which is why we started doing it. And I think it was a lot of fun and it worked really well. And we sign off our series, with This Is the Way. So make sure you check that series out as well. So we got a lot of content coming for you on Mayhem this year. 2024 is going to be a big year for us. Check back, leave us a comment, hit that subscribe button, and visit the storefront, bonfire.com/store/JDE Designs. That's with a Z at the end of it. JDE Designs is the name of my art business. I'm not insane enough to run 3 storefronts along with everything else that I do, which is why I've consolidated. Pick up some storefront, support the show. Check out Jaina Pryde. Do you have your own storefront?
I do not. Currently, the only merch that I have is some 8x10s with some wonderful artwork by Oregon Azure on it.
All right. Well, we'll talk later after the show about you needing your own storefront. So we'll get Jaina Pryde her own storefront, and then you can visit that and pick up some apparel. But for this episode, that is the end.